Let me share turn my camera. Okay. Sorry, this difference of the screen is just going to improve somehow. Yeah. So like I said, today we're talking about authentication and databases. About authentication. Sorry, let me screen. Okay, better. So you can still see my screen. It's cool. So authentication. Okay, so the three main things. The main thing we're talking about here is JWT and password hashing with bcrypt. We're using bcrypt to hash password. Then it's a beginner-friendly explanation, so you're all going to follow. So the goal here is for you to understand how to securely store passwords and authenticate users. So these are the two main my two main goals, to teach you guys how to store passwords and authenticate users. So next slide. So what is authentication? Now authentication is equal to verifying the identity of a user. When you say we need to authenticate, it means that we need to verify, are you authentic? We need to verify and check if you have the identity, if you are able to access a particular platform. Then there's something that confuses some people: authentication and authorization. You might be authenticated, but you might not be authorized. It's two different words. Authentication means you are verifying you. Now, authorized means you are verified, but um, you don't have authority to access some certain things in the platform you get. So these are two different things. So examples of where we use authentication is logging into Facebook. That's an example of authentication. Unlocking your phone. Unlock your phone, the password. That's the use of authentication. And finally, signing into a web app. Different web apps. We have, for those in universities, you have university portal, jam portal, and all the rest. These are the very common ones we all know about. Um, so the next is, why don't we stop playing passwords? Now, during authentication, there's something we call hashing. Hashing is more like encoding the password into a different set of characters. Then we store it in our database. Now, the thing is that storing real passwords in our database is dangerous because databases can be hacked. There was something that happened, I think early this week, and we heard that ChatGPT had a data breach, and some bad players are able to access some certain data. That is the database. So databases can be hacked and information could be stolen from it. So if your passwords are stored plainly on your database, it means that once someone hacks the database and get these credentials, they can just access your accounts, and maybe if it's a bank account, they can transfer all the money out. If it's private accounts for different things, they can get some sort of information which they shouldn't have. You get. So that's why we hash password before we store it on the database. So okay, here they said we store only a hash password, a hashed version of the password, which is like a scramble. You scatter it, and it's not just like rearranging the words. It's more different than that. When we do the exercise, you see how it works. So what is password hashing? Password hashing is converting a string into a random looking string. It cannot be reversed. So a password that has been hashed cannot be unhashed. You can only match a word to check if it suits that hash. You get me? Sorry. You can only match a word to check if it suits that particular hash. Henry, you can go ahead. You can speak.
Sorry, I'm cutting you short. I'm
Yeah.
having issues. I don't know if this class is recorded.
Yeah, it's recorded. It's being recorded. Okay. It's okay. Okay. So back to what I was saying. password hashing. So once a password has been hashed, it cannot be unhashed, as it cannot be reversed. You get. So if we have a password, like an example here, my password 123, and we hash it to get this string. Let's say this is the string we got when we hash this password. There is no way we can unhash this password to then get. There's no way we can unhash this hash we have here. There's no way we can reverse it to now get the original password back. You get. What we can do is to just hash different words to see if we can get a word that will match this hash, then we've gotten the password. You get. So if someone says they cannot recover the real password, you cannot reverse a hash. Now we have different tools. Okay, let me go back a bit. So this method is also cryptography. We convert different strings or different element. Let's call it different strings. We convert it into a set of string which is hidden. You cannot really decode it easily. So what is bcrypt? Now bcrypt is a tool that we use for hashing. We have other tools, but a very common one is bcrypt. So bcrypt is a tool we use for hashing. It hashes passwords, it slows down attackers, and it adds a salt to the password that we are hashing. Now, what we mean salt, we mean randomness, degree of randomness. You get. So features of bcrypt, it is beginner friendly, it is very secure, and it is recommended for modern apps. So this is an example of how we use bcrypt. We import bcrypt. We first of all we have to install it in our project. Then we can then import it and make use of it. So I would now have to share this. I think I will just do it this way. So this is still visible, and both sides are visible. I will increase the size of this a bit. Okay, now let's start coding. So this is my Git now. I prepared this file earlier today so we can go over this. Okay, so here I did a simple example of hashing where I'm hashing a password, then you can see the output here. So first of all, I created my Node.js project. If you can see here, I created my Node.js project. You have the node modules, package lock, and package.json. Then I created a file, just name it hashing.js. You can name it whatever you want. You can put it in your server component. It all depends on you. I just did this separate. I wanted these different components I'm teaching to be standing alone so that you can easily check them out. You get. So first of all, after installing bcrypt, I then imported bcrypt from the bcrypt library. Then I initiated a password. I initialized the password and I called it password, and the value which they do 123. You get. So I can normally this should be an input. It should be gotten from an input, element that gets what from input, then you get the value. It should come from an input right normally. Then the hashed password is now a function where we await bcrypt, then we call the hash method. Then we pass in this password that we want to hash, then we pass in the degree of randomness, which is 10. So if I run that, let me comment this one out. So then I console.log the hash password. So if I run that, we should have our hash password displayed. So now if you look here, we have the hash password being displayed. So this is the value of the hash password. So now this hash we got, we cannot reverse it to get the original password or the original string that was hashed. You get. What we can only do is to start writing different passwords, and we start hashing them to see if we get a hash that matches this particular hash. You get. So that is the first part. Oh God, they've taken light here. hold on a bit. Let me turn my flashlight. Let me put my monitor. Please, you bear with me. NEPA has done their thing again. So just need to confirm if you can see my screen. Okay, you can see. Now we just have to manage now because I'm just on one screen. So what is bcrypt? Okay, we've talked about this. Then we were here. So this is the example I did. I just extended it a bit, adding some other things. So now when the user logs in, now maybe you might be thinking, if a user logs in, how do we then verify if the password is correct? You get. So what we basically do is that we now use a different method which we call the compare method. So that's this compare method. What it does is that it checks the string you're putting in right now, and it compares it to the hashed password or the hashed value, to the hash we have. So when it compares the two of them and they match, it means that it is actually the user that you can log in successfully. But if they don't match, then it's invalid password, you get. So I also implemented that here. I just have to turn off my camera because I'm ugly right now. So I also implemented that here, that first of all, I hashed, then we got our hash password. Then secondly, we then use this password trying to just mock the fact that we are logging in. Though I did a complete code of this, you will also see that. So I'm now trying to mock it using this password again and the hashed password and see the, the results we will get. So if I run this again, see that I got login successful. Now the code here says that is match is going to be a value either true or false once this thing runs. If this compare method runs, is either it returns true or false. True is if these two match. False if they don't match. So if it is match is true, that is if this result is true, then it should console.log login successful. Else, if it's false, it will log out invalid password. And that is basically the whole architecture behind logging in. You get. So just need to come back to the slide. So bcrypt compares the entered password with the stored hash. Now you just need to know that now we are still doing things with mock data. If you want to now go scale up using your data stored in the database, we have to now do fetch. We have to read from the database first, then we then do our comparison. So you see how database and authentication is getting related now. The next thing is now JWT token. Now, when you are authenticated, you authenticated is more like a gateway, you just passing it, but you need to remain authenticated so that you can keep on carrying out certain activities on the website you get. Now, now you need to be authenticated. You need to have an active session. You call it session. You need to have an active session so that you can keep on doing things on database like reading, writing, updating, and all the rest. You get. If you're offline, you cannot make a post on Facebook. You get. If you're offline, you can't make a post on X or drop a tweet on X. That's how these things work. So if you are not in an active session, you cannot interact with the database. So that's where another tool we call JWT comes in. So JWT means stands for JSON Web Token, and it is a small encoded strings that represents a logged in user. So once you are logged in, there will be a JWT token that represents that user that is logged in. So the JWT token can come in this form. It's just a set of characters, strings, you get. So the uses are, it's used for authentication, for session management, and also for API security. For authentication, once you have a JWT token, it means that you are authenticated. So you can perform actions with that JWT token. These are things handled on the back end. You get. Then the next is for session management. If the JWT token is active, is there, and it's not yet expired, it means the session is still ongoing. But once it's expired, then the session has ended. You have to log in again and all that. And also for API security. Now, there are some APIs that are gated, that are secured. So you also need tokens. You also need proof to access certain data through that API. Now, why do we use JWT tokens? So JWT helps us to helps you to keep users logged in, protect private routes, avoid storing sessions on the server. Then it helps to easily authenticate users in APIs. These are basic views. Then how does JWT works? So it works, user logs in. But this is just steps. First, the user logs in with email and password. Then the server then checks the password with bcrypt. It checks if it matches. If it's valid, then the server will then create a JWT token and is now sent to the browser that, okay, this token I created is representing this guy. This is representing this particular person. If this person shows you this token, you can grant him access to do whatever he wants to do within a period of time. You get, once the person is logged out or out of the app, the JWT token might get expired or burnt out. You get, so the server checks it before giving access. So with that JWT token now, now it's on the server side, and the front end, which is the browser, also have it. So when we want to perform an action on the database, which is on the server side, we will have to use our JWT token to show it as a proof. Then we can then carry out the activities we want to handle. Again, so to use JWT, what you just have to do is to install the JSON Web Token library in your project also. So you just have to install that on your project, then you can get started. So this is a very simple code snippet of what I did, of the example, but there's a better one. I will share this link with you guys so that you can, I will share the link to the repo with you guys so that you guys can check it out. So also, I also use .env because we're working with environmental variables. Then something I forgot to mention, JWT requires a secret key. It requires a secret key. The secret key is a sensitive information. You don't store them on your code. You have to store it on your env file, your environmental variable files. You have to store it there so that it won't be easily accessible unless you made a mistake and you pushed your env file to GitHub. So coming back to this, you see that I have my JSON secret, my JWT secret, and you can just give it any string. You can give it any string. You can call it anything. But I got my own Nado secret. But it's best to use an unpredictable string or word or character so that it will be difficult for hackers to get. So coming back to this, you see that I use .env so that we can load up the values from our env file before we then proceed. So I imported JWT from just JSON Web Tokens. Then I also imported .env. I called the .config function here so that it can get this ready. And the next thing is I then declared our token, our JWT token, and I said that it's equal to jwt.sign, which is a method. Now I want to sign in a user ID of, this is just mock data, you all know. Then the email is this, and the secret was from here, this secret that I assigned to this JWT secret. We pass in the secret. Then finally, we now pass in how long we want that token to be valid. Is it for an hour? Is it for 2? Get. So how long we specify is how long is going to be valid. Then if we console.log the token, we will get a a string representing the token, the session token you get. Then if you now want to verify a token, we can also do that here. So now let's log this and check it out. Node using, okay. Now here, after we called this dot sign method, then we console.log the token that we get from signing in. So the token, this is the token right now. Then I then use the dot verify method to check the user that is handling that particular token. Now you see that to get this user, we need to pass in the secret. So it means that the secret is a very sensitive information, because with the secret you can, with the secret key, the JWT secret key, we can get hold of some sensitive information you get. So when we console.log this data, it then gave us this data of the user. Sorry, it gave us this data of the user right now. The user ID is this, email this, and all the rest. Issued at this particular time. This is in milliseconds. If you convert it to normal minutes, you can get it. Then expiring time is that also. So I think someone just okay. Okay, the power is back. Let me just switch back to my monitor. It's been some time. Sorry about all this. Okay, so we are back here now. So I turn on my camera again. Okay, sorry. So coming back to this, so we then logged in. When we logged out the data, we get the this user that we signed in, and all the data that we passed in. You get. So the thing now is that JSON Web Tokens can be reversed. It can be reversed, but the other one, bcrypt hashes we get from bcrypt, we cannot reverse that one you get, or we can reverse JSON Web Tokens. So moving to the next slide. Okay, so where is JSON Web Token stored? Where are JWT stored? So first is that we can store them on local storage. Now, I don't know if you've worked with local storage yet, but there's a tool on your browser, we call it local storage, a form of storage where we store some browser data that we don't need to, that we want to easily have access to. You get, so there's some data that is stored on your local storage. If you store them on the database, it means that whenever you need that particular data, you need to fetch first, and it takes time and it's not very good for UX, for user experience. So we use local storage sometimes. So we can store this JWT token on local storage. We can use HTTP only cookies, which is the most secure. Then we can also use session storage. Session storage is also on your browser. Let me just show you that real quick. Let me just use a very random website. So I'll just show you this thing. So if you want to check out things stored on your local storage, what you just do is once you open a website, you just inspect, then it displays this console. You just click here, check for application, click on application. Now here we have local storage, we have session storage. So the things under local storage, we have is what we have with local storage. Sorry. Then session storage, we have nothing in session storage. Then we still have a lot of other things you get. So that is just a little extra sharp. So local storage is the easiest. You just call your local storage dot get method or local storage dot set item, one of the rest. It's very easy to use. So good security practices. So first of all is that you should never stop playing passwords. That's number one. Number two, always hash with bcrypt. Number three, never expose your JWT secrets. You, like I said. Number four, use token expiration. Then number five, protect your API routes. When I go through the slide, then we'll just face the code. So now let's face the code now. So I've shown you how to hash. I've shown you how to use JWT in a very basic way. So now next thing is to now sign up. So now let's talk about signing up using using hashing. Well, not well, I'm taking this step by step so that you will understand one before we combine two other things together. So now I want to sign up using hashing. We've already hashed before. So we know that when we are signing up, we're going to store the email and the password or all the sign up details. We'll store them. Just that the password is going to be the hashed password. We're not going to store the main password in the database. You get me? So it's still very, it's still the same thing with what we did on Monday. It's still the same arrangement, the same setup. I defined a schema, but I called it student login schema. Then an email, then the hashed password. I did the hash password. Then I did the hash password. So I called the hash password the value of string, and all the rest. Sorry, let me reply someone. I'm on the call. Okay. So that is for this. So after that, I just the whole same setting, and you just have to come here to your sign up file, then you just check it out. Sorry. Okay. So um now looking at this example I did, I'm still using mock data. We're not accepting data from any input yet. So I just said const email is equal to chinedu@gmail.com. Then the password is equal to this. Then hashed password is now equal to, we call the bcrypt.hash function. We pass in the password we want to hash and the salt level, the degree of randomness, which is 10. Then what I just did was, so you guys will see it. This is the hash password. So I'm logging out the value of the hash password first. So that is what we have here. Mind you, in your own code, you don't leave this like this. Like in production ready code, you remove this. Then next is the student login. I created a model, which is the student login model, and it has the schema of this student login schema. So then I called the connection DB, which is from this our config file. I called it. Then the then method console.log database connected first. Once it's connected, I console.log that the database has been connected, just for us to get different steps, and in case we face any bug, we know where the problem is coming from. Then the next thing I now did was I now created a user on the database. So the user, I created I passed in the email, which is of value, this email. Then I also passed in a value hash password, which is of this value hash password. So once it's successful, it logs out sign up successful. Now, if it's not successful, it logs out DB error, then it gives us the error that's occurred. So let's try it here and see. So node sign up JS. So first of all, we give us the hashed password. That's the first thing that we get here. Now the next thing is that it will connect. But I doubt it will not write because email is unique. So we cannot have two emails, two of the same emails in a document. But let's see if it will work out. Because I've already written to this once. Let's wait and see. It's taking some time. Okay, it gave an error. Okay, my IP address is on your. I think it's an IP address issue. Your IP address isn't whitelisted. Um, it's MongoDB. Let me just whitelist this IP address real quick that it will just go through. Then I think on the same time I should just change this email. Happiness is not on this call. Just realized, but it's happiness@gmail.com. So I just need to whitelist this again. Let me whitelist my IP address. I'm on my MongoDB on the other screen. Let me whitelist this and get it working again. And IP address. Okay. It's pending, 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 pending. Let's give it some time to load. I think in the next 5 minutes. Okay, it's set now. So if we call this again, it should then run through without any error. Okay, so we have database connected, then sign up was successful. So if I come to my database and check it out here, let me just move this to this screen so you guys can see it. So this is the MongoDB database and students, so Data Explorer. Mm, So student logins. Now here we have happiness@gmail.com. Oh, okay, I need to zoom it in more. Okay, so yeah, we have happiness@gmail.com. That's it. So that is about hashing and storing it successfully in the database. Now let's now move to signing in, logging in. So we'll have it here, login.js file. So still the same setup. I'm just going to go to the main thing here. So in logging in, we do two things. Now in signing up, we did two things. We did hashed, then we stored the value. Now logging is going to be the reverse. We will um, fetch the value, then we then try to match. We try to compare um, passwords to see if they match the hash. You get it? So first of all, I created our student login model. Then this is just mock data I just did here, mock data. Then the next thing is I'm now trying to find one student that has email of this. Now, the email is a unique identifier. So just a student should have a particular email. Two students can't have the same email, you get. So I'm using the find one method. So I just get one student that has that email. So next thing is when I get it, I then here I said if there is no student, that's we will use this exclamation mark, we just mean like false. So if student is false, or if no student, that is there's no student with this. No, if we do this and there's no student with this email, um MongoDB will return null. No, Mongos will return null for us. So here, if there's no students, I should log out user not found. Else, I will console.log that student data I got. Then I will now run the matching. So its match is equal to, we are comparing the input password. That is what we got from this input here. Then the student dot hashed password. Now, if you check here, I stored the password as hashed password here. So we are accessing the students then dot hash password. That's what I just did here. Yes. So now if its match is true, if it's true, it will console.log login successful. Else, it will console.log invalid password. You get. So that is basically the mechanics behind logging in. So let's try this now and see. So now when we do that, it connects to the database first, it fetches the data and it compares. Okay, so it compared it and it said connection was successful and login successful. It's connected, it compared it, and it happens that this email and this password matches what is on our database. You get. So that is how we handle logging in using yeah. Hello guys, sorry, my network tripped for a bit. Let me just handle something real quick. I don't know what happened. Jesus God. Now, now what's send data to the room? So just give me some time. Let me recharge my line. Okay, yeah, sorry for the break. I will continue sharing my screen now. Screen, screen. Okay, yeah. So we're good to go. So where was I? So this is basically about logging in. So finally, let's now look at signing in with JWT. Now we've logged in, but we also now need to sign in. You get. So it's still the same method, just a bit more complexity. So the first thing is that we created our model. Okay, we have to connect our database first. We have to connect to our database. The next is we created our our student login model, which is of schema, student login schema. Then the next is that we then log in, the whole login function. You see, it starts from here till about here. So there are some things we need to go over. There are different things involved in the login function. So first is that we now I had to do it differently so you can try logging in using parameters now. I passed into parameters your email and password. So whenever you want to call the function, you can call the function using a different email and password. You can just duplicate this and change this to your own and also call the function and see what you get. So So now let's go over this. So first of all, we need to get the students that we are trying to log in. Okay, we need to get the student. So the first thing we did is we still have to find the students on the database. So we use the find one method and we passed in the email, which is that's email coming from here. We pass in the email. Now, if there's a student, if there's no student, it logs user not found. Else, it's if there's no student, it logs user not found and it returns. Now, this return means to go back, it will not proceed anymore. But if there's a student, then it then does the matching next. So const is matched is going to be true or false. Now it's equal to await bcrypt.compare password. So we now compare the password that we're passing in from here. Then we then also compare the student.hashed password. Now we fetch the student's details here. So we're now going to compare the students.hashed password. That is a property we are getting from the students that we fetched. Now, if there's no match, it returns invalid password. It just console.logs invalid password and it returns. But if there's a match, the next thing it will now do is to now generate a JWT JSON Web Token so that the user can stay online. So if there's a match, the next thing is now const token is equal to jwt.sign. So we are trying to sign in a user now. Then the user ID is the student.id coming from the database. And the email is the student.email also coming from the database too. Then the secret is now the process.env.jwt secrets, like what I stored here and just accessed it here, passed it into here. Then finally, the expiring time, which is 1 hour. So when we now do that, so at the end of everything, it logs out login successful. If everything ran completely, it logs out login successful. Then it also logs out our JSON Web Token. But like I said, JSON Web Token is a very critical and sensitive key which shouldn't be exposed. You get. So here I'm not calling the function. I just passed in an email and the password. Now let's try it and see what we get. So node sign in the JWTs. Okay. So it's just going to run and we get a result from it. Just taking longer than expected. Let's give it some time, but nobody's taking more time today. Okay, what's wrong? IP address isn't whitelisted again. Let's whitelist again now. No, it still keeps doing this. Try that. Okay. How do my IP address keep changing? Is my VPN isn't on? Just give it some time. Let me clear this. Same active here. Node sign in JSON Web Tokens. Let's see if it works this time. Still not working out where it should. Still taking time. This doesn't take time normally. It's just this. I don't think this is a IP address issue. This should be from something else because I just connected and I'm okay. You have your address here. I just try this for the last time. Just added an IP address again. So node please take the scope to the what we call node sign in. Okay, let's try it again. Let's see.
No, shading some code. Shading some code, and regarding online class.
Just give it some time. Really don't know why this is not working. Why this is giving me this issue right now. I don't know if it's from my network. This might be a network problem for my device. But this worked in the afternoon. I worked on every single thing here. It worked and it all gave me results. So I'm 100% sure this should just be a network problem. So that is basically everything about working with JSON, working with bcrypt and JSON Web Token. I'll push this later when we are done. So finally, in summary, we talked about authentication basics. We talked about why passwords must be hashed. We talked about how bcrypt works, plus examples. Then talked about JWT, how JWT keeps users logged in, and how to create and verify tokens. That's basically it. So this is your final assignment, build an authentication user API with login and sign up. This is exactly what I did. But I want you to do your own, be creative. Just go over the steps again. Try to add something new in it. Don't just use email and password for authenticating for signing up. You can add other fields there, do other things, hash, on hash, not on hash. No, you cannot on hash. You hash, you match it. Then your JWT tokens, you can do all the rest of it. Just work on it. You get try, and it will help you get much better in this. So if you have any question, please ask. Now, since I'm no question, I will make sure your assignment is shared on the group, if not this night or tomorrow. Your assignment is ready. Yep. So I'm open to questions now. Is anyone speaking?
I can't hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you, but your voice is faint. It's not very audible.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you, but it's not very audible. Shabo, you can go ahead.
Talking about the whitelisting. How do we whitelist our email?
Okay, on MongoDB. Is it whitelisting on MongoDB? Um, Mohammed. Okay. Once you just let me just share my screen. What you just do is you come here. Sorry, when you're having that issue, you can see my screen, right? So you just come here, connect, then it will tell you current IP address not added. You will not be able to connect to databases from this address. So you just click on add IP address, then network access to just check if it has been added. So once it loads, you should see your IP address in this list of IP addresses. Then that's how you know that it has been whitelisted. Then you can then write from your PC down to your database. You get it. That is basically it.
Thanks, sir.
You get me right?
Yes, sir. Thanks, sir.
Okay, cool. So is there any other question? Any other question? Okay, no other question. So in absence of questions, this will be our final class for week 7, databases and authentication. I do hope you go over the classes again, work on the exercises, and get used to this. If you have questions, you can ask me. You can ask. Okay, my email is there. My GitHub is also there. My LinkedIn. I think I shared it on the first slide, so you can easily reach out to me. I'm not on the WhatsApp group, although I've requested for them to add me. You can also once they add me, I will notify you guys so that you can interact with me if you want. So this is the end of I wish you all good luck in your studies. Thank you. Okay. So I think we can all now